Good morning, Grief Inspired Tribe. Hey there, it's Catherine, and I was thinking about some things today, and so I just decided to come on live, and I don't have makeup, and my hair is like slept on hair and whatever, but I don't think that matters. I want to talk about how you can stop feeling lonely in grief, because I think it's an issue. I think it's one of the biggest things that people tell me they struggle with is that grief is lonely, right? Grief is hard, grief is painful, grief is lonely. And how do you stop that? And I talk all the time about, go get support, right? Join our groups, be with us. But I think that there's another lesson, another conversation that I want to have about when you feel lonely and how you can stop feeling lonely when you're by yourself, when you're with yourself. So we're going to talk about that this morning. How is everybody doing? I'm on my second cup of coffee. It feels a little bit odd. My life has changed a bit, right? So I'm not working. This is the first week that I am not working in my corporate job. As many of you know, I've decided to go all in on Grief Inspired because what I love is helping all of you, meeting all of you, getting to know you. And it's what I want to do. And so I want to encourage you, if you are here, please subscribe to this channel. Please share it to someone else. The more support that I can get from you in making sure that people know about this, the easier it's going to be for me to do more to support you, because I have so many ideas. There's so many things that I can do. Many of you guys know I've been talking for the last few weeks about the school platform, so skool.com. That is going to be free for all of you to join until Saturday. So like end of the day Friday, sometime on Saturday. So if you want to go over there, get in there. We're going to have free trainings every week. It's basically going to be like an ongoing grief course. We're going to have trainings every week. We're going to have live Q&As every week. We're going to talk about the work. We are going to do the work of grief. And then in addition, there is a community of people there that you can communicate with directly. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm also enrolling for my first grief retreat. So that's getting really, really full. So if you want to talk about that, email me at griefinspired@gmail.com, which you guys all know that's how you get a hold of me. So let's talk about walking alone. Let's talk about the loneliness that exists in grief. And if you happen to be feeling lonely today, I want to know. I want to know if you feel lonely, and I hope that you came here to help ease that loneliness. That's part of what I want to do for you. And like I said, the pain of your loss, right? Whoever it is that you lost, let me know who you lost. Drop that in the comments below. It's good to say their name. It's good to say when you lost them. It's good to talk about what happened. One other thing, if you go to the school platform, I'm also having a live Q&A session this weekend on Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. So if you want to get in and talk to me directly, I would love to meet you. But so many of you here, right? You may have lost a spouse, somebody that was in your day-to-day life, right? Living with you, and suddenly they are gone. And so life has created a lot of change. Tanya, hi. Many of you have lost parents. Maybe it's parents that, have been with you your whole life, or maybe you've gone back to live with them, or maybe they've moved in with you so that you could take care of them. And now suddenly they're gone, right? These are big changes. And if you're like me and you have a child that you've lost, well, life just isn't how it's supposed to be, right? And so all of these things create a lot of change. They can create a lot of loneliness. In our courses, we often talk about the void of grief, right? We've been trying to, I want to come up with terminology so that we can speak about our pain And I think that's so important. Hey, Mike. Yes, we love hearing about Christina and how wonderful she was. And what an impact, right? So you know loneliness. You know when you're supposed to have somebody with you all the time and suddenly they're no longer there. And so we talk about that void. It leaves us with a big void. And that's how we describe it. And you can think of the pain of that void, the darkness of the void, the emptiness of the void. My son in school is learning about black holes right now, right? And the thing about a black hole is that nothing can escape it. And I think grief can feel like that, right? Things get pulled into the black hole until there is nothingness. And if you've lost someone close to you, you know what I'm talking about, and you know what that feels like. Alice, good morning. We're talking about the loneliness that we can feel and how to stop feeling lonely, right? That is the message. So I think we're all aware of the pain and the loneliness of loss, right? It's why we're all here. It's the thing that brings us together. And I think that one of the things that's so jarring for us as part of our loss is sometimes we're surprised by the amount of loneliness that loss can bring. I have these vivid memories that I will never forget of sitting on my couch and looking around the house that used to be a home for me, that felt like home, and the room that I had created for my son to come home into, with the dark crib that I spent copious amounts of hours making sure was safe, and the monkey stickers that I had put on the wall, and all of the things that we had bought to be ready for him to come home. And it was hard a lot of times to open the door and look in there, because after he passed away, I closed that door and I couldn't do anything with it. I didn't want to do anything with it. But there were times when I would go and I would open the door and it would be like being sucked into a black hole, and the void was so palpable. And that was, for me, it was 14 years ago, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. And I think that's one of the unique things about grief and loss for us. Being alone after losing someone that we love, it feels dark, it feels unfamiliar, it feels uncomfortable, like things aren't supposed to be this way. Is that the experience that you have? And so here's what I want to talk about with all of you today. You know, I titled this, How to Stop Feeling Lonely. So what if you could be alone and not feel lonely? You might not even think that that's possible. But I'm here to tell you that it is, and it's a shift. It's a perspective shift. It's a different way of looking at yourself. It's a different way of looking at the world, and it requires education. It's one of the reasons why I want so much about what I do in terms of healing from grief to be about education, to look at different perspectives, to learn things in ways that you didn't know, right? So we have a video coming out from Mike Shipley, who's here watching today, where he went to books and he went to music, looking for answers. And he started looking at things with near-death experiences and the afterlife, and what have people experienced, and what do we know? And so when people are suddenly not there and we're in the void, trying to shift their perspective and learning how to say, well, maybe I can be alone without feeling lonely. So let's talk about that. What if you could be alone and not feel lonely? Have you even considered that as a possibility? Drop that down below. Have you ever thought about being alone and saying, have you asked yourself the question, how can I be alone now that this has happened? I didn't want this to happen, But how can I be alone in this house, in this environment, doing the day in and day out, and not feel alone? And oftentimes we're going to talk a little bit more about how that's tied to our purpose and to the things that fulfill us, because suddenly those things have shifted for us too. So being alone doesn't have to be a lack. It doesn't have to be all about just missing someone. What if you were to embrace the quiet? I'm in my house right now. I'm all alone. It's so quiet. You can almost hear the quiet. I can easily hear the click, the ticking of a clock. I can hear an airplane flying overhead. You might not be able to hear that. But there is silence. And the silence can be something to fear, or it can be something that we can embrace and we can learn to get used to. And when you can embrace solitude and find harmony within, you can get to know more of yourself. You can find out what your needs are. If you recall the grief journal that I have, that's called A Grief Journal, that you can find on Amazon. There's a link below too. One of the key things that I ask for when you go in there is, what do you need? So being in the solitude and hearing the silence around you and looking within and just seeing what you come up with and saying, what is important to me? What's next for me? What do I need? What can this loss mean to me? Because we can't go back. We can't change it. All of us want that. But here you are, alone with yourself, feeling lonely. So what if you didn't feel so alone? What if you sat in the silence and embraced some of the solitude and felt that uncomfortable feeling for as long as it takes? Because what you will find is that uncomfortable feeling will begin to dissipate. You'll start to be with your thoughts. Maybe you'll start to hear your loved one, a higher power, God. What will happen for you? The messaging today is how do you stop feeling lonely? You learn how to be with yourself. And you learn that you are the one thing that will never let you down. We talk a lot in this group about our friends. I think somebody said, I don't know, my friends scattered like cockroaches when you turn the light on. That can happen because people don't know what to do. They can feel uncomfortable, right? There's lots of reasons, whether their intentions are good. There usually are. They're not bad. It's not because they don't care about you, but that's how it feels. But the one thing and the one person that you absolutely 100% count on is yourself. And I also want to say over here, grief inspired, because we got you. So you're not alone. But embracing that aloneness, that silence, the solitude, your own thoughts, your own desires, your own needs. In this world that we live in, we don't take time to do that. And the fact that your friends have ghosted you and deserted you, and your family tells you things that maybe aren't useful, we all have those people in our lives. Maybe it's time to take some time and sit in that silence and sit in the solitude and see what we come up with. And here's the thing, your life has changed. What's next? You got to figure that out, right? We talk a lot on this channel about our sense of identity and how our sense of identity is shattered because we thought of ourselves as a spouse, as a couple. And now we're no longer a couple. I talked to somebody this week and she's like, where did my friends go? We used to go and do things as a couple, and now I'm not invited. That hurts. If you're used to having your parents, and if you really think about it and you go, holy crap, I'm an orphan because both of my parents are gone. Maybe you have siblings, maybe you don't. Maybe you're taking it harder than they do or seem to be. It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. So you have to say, what's next? What's next for you? And if you do this work and you look within, one of the most beautiful things, if you watch the video that I just did with Jane Weathers a couple of weeks ago, you can find, and I don't think this is specific to women or men, I think it's either. I think it's whether you've lost a child, lost a parent, lost a spouse, but you come to find that sense of self, who you are as an individual and what worth you have in the world. And that shifts and readjusts. I talked to someone else this week, or I got an email from him, and I hope to talk to him very soon. His wife died 3 years ago. She was his everything. He spent years taking care of her through her cancer, through his illness. It was the thing that mattered. And here he is 3 years out, still looking, still trying to find, what is the purpose? Where can I find fulfillment? And these are life's big questions. And so what I'm saying is the way to stop feeling this loneliness and to stop feeling so alone is to figure out who you are without anyone else, without your children, without your wife, without your friends. Who are you in the middle of the night when you're alone and awake because you can't sleep? What do you want to create in the world? How do you want to spend your day? What are the things that bring you joy? And you might not know what those are. But Jane started traveling. She traveled for 3 months. And she learned a lot about herself in that period of time. She found out that she could do things on her own that she didn't think she could do. Jan figured out that she could go and do different things, that she could go to yoga and go to the senior center even when she was scared, and she could meet new people. And I think something that's totally underestimated for all of you guys, we're entering the holiday season. This is a hard time of year for all of us. It's a time where we can do this soul searching. If you don't want to participate, and I get that, I did not want to participate my first Christmas after Jack died. I was like, check me out. No, thank you. I'm going to shut the blinds, close the doors. I'm done. So if you want to do that, I'm going to tell you, go ahead and do that. But do not waste that time. Look within. Find yourself. Use the holiday. Use this holiday to find yourself so that in 2025, we can get together and we can develop a plan and we can figure out where you're going and you can figure out where your meaning and your fulfillment for the life that you have now is. My tagline is to ease the pain of your grief. I want to do that for you. I hope that this conversation is helping ease the pain of your grief right now. But it's also keep on living. To find the hope to keep on living and then to keep living. And that's what I want to be for you. And that journey of self-discovery and finding out who you are and finding your purpose, it does not happen overnight. For me, it's a lifelong journey. It's going to continue to unfold. And it's scary, right? I chose for now to give up my corporate role, all of the security. I've given that up because there is something bigger for me here, and I know that. And I know it involves all of you. And so I'm asking you for your support too in this. But it's where I find fulfillment and meaning and purpose. And because this is the holiday season, I also want to encourage you as you do your soul searching, as you get to know that. Find someone, find somewhere, find some way to interact with others in a volunteer capacity. Maybe it's just being nice to somebody in the supermarket. Maybe it's helping to wrap presents. Maybe it's doing something at your church. It could be any of these things. Take the focus off of you this holiday some of the time. And if you take a little bit of time to focus on someone else, it will help with this sense of self and this discovery and who you are. Tanya, oh my gosh, like what you do not know is I see amazing things for your future because you are an amazing person. All of you guys, you're here with me. You are amazing. You have these massive hearts that can make a difference. You can make a difference. You can touch other people's lives in ways that you don't understand. And it doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be grandiose. It's the little things. Who can you text today and tell them that you care? Who can you call and say, hey, we haven't talked in a while? These are all things that you can do to help with that sense of self. You can find worth within. These are all things that can help, right? We're talking about how to stop feeling lonely. Oh, you're sweet. I love you too. But I want to encourage you, self-discovery is really a path to healing in grief. So take a moment right now, take a deep breath, and decide for yourself, can you spend 15 minutes today in the silence? Turn off your cell phone, turn off the TV, turn off whatever's going on in your life. Feel uncomfortable and sit in that silence and listen. Just listen. Breathe and listen. And I think you guys all do want to help other people. And it's amazing. But the way to help other people is to help ourselves first, right? We talk about that. So not being lonely doesn't mean that you need to be with other people. That is the messaging for today. You can be alone and not be lonely. You just have to want to be with yourself. And that is a journey that a lot of us have to go on. And it's one that I've been on for the last 14 years. It continues to unfold. I continue to lean into the work, and then what I learn, I share with you. That's who I am. That's what I want, because I want to help. That brings me fulfillment. That brings me purpose. So again, I'm going to end this here because I've been rambling for 25 minutes. But I want to encourage you to get into my school community today before it goes to paid. So after Saturday, that group is going to become a paid membership. It's probably going to be $39 a month. But that's where you're going to get support. That's where you're going to meet other people. That's where you're going to learn how to do more of this self-discovery work. It's where you're going to find more of your self-worth. It's where you're going to be able to pour into other people. It's where you're going to be able to figure out how to keep on living. Because yes, it is your responsibility to figure this out. And it's my job to help you do it. So that's who we are here. That's what we do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching us. Drop your questions below. Again, there's a live Q&A Saturday. It's a Zoom call. You can find the link in the school platform. So you got to get into that platform to find the link. If you guys are in my Facebook group, usually I'll drop it in there on Saturday morning as well, so that you guys can come. But I really want to encourage you to get to that school platform too, because that's where I can help you the most. Again, please subscribe if you haven't. Like my channel, share it with someone else that you know. This season is hard. It's hard for you, but there's going to be a lot of people that it's also hard for. So help somebody else. Share this out. Thank you for being here. And as always, I love you guys too. You can do this. Keep on living. Bye for now.